Hey guys, Darren Murphy here, aka More Precious Dust. I know I promised you guys a video on how to scratch anything you want in Ableton back on Christmas. Very sorry for the delay. I'm happy to say that the month of January was very productive for my new album. I can finally see the light at the end of the tunnel there. But without further ado, let's jump right into the video because I know my friend Adam Zero cannot wait to hear my intro song. All right, so I'm going to show you guys how to digitally scratch any sound or vocal in Ableton. And I put the word scratch in quotation marks because, of course, it's not going to be like physically scratching vinyl, but we can get close to that type of sound. And we only need to use two stock Ableton effects, a delay and an Autopan. Now, some of you might not be surprised that a delay would be in the crux of this, especially if you ever mess around with the delay pedal with the guitar. Twisting that timing knob would get you really cool, scratchy effects going on. So let's get started. All right, so I have some drum loops here that we're going to listen to later. But first things first, you want the sound that you want to scratch. And I have that here too. I have an audio track, which I've labeled input sound with an audio clip. Labeled input vocal, and that's the vocal we're going to scratch today. So let's take a listen.
Oh, na, 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 oh, na, na. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. Oh, can we just hold on?
Gives me Billie Eilish kind of vibes. But anyways, yeah, audio track with an audio clip. But that does not mean that the input sound cannot come from MIDI. It just needs to produce sound, whether audio or MIDI. So next, we will need an audio track to contain our delay. And this one needs to be an audio track, and you'll see why in a little while. Let's right-click, insert audio track, and I'll rename it Scratch Delay. And a compressor and EQ pop up for me when I create new tracks, but we don't need them for this, so let's get rid of them. Let's find our standard delay in Audio Effects, drag and drop. Let's make sure that the left and right are linked, making sure that button's on, and we're going to change sync to time. Now let's turn the time all the way down to 1 millisecond. We're going to turn the feedback all the way down, and we're going to turn the dry wet all of the way up. So next, we have to route the input sound to the scratch delay, and we do that by messing around with this little in-out section right there. If that's not displayed for you, go over to the right and toggle on the little I/O button right there. So input sound to scratch delay. Let's go to audio 2 in the input sound, drop that down, scratch delay. But that's not enough. If we were to play the clip right now, we would hear nothing. Okay, that's because we also have to tell the scratch delay to listen to the input sound. So go to audio from in the scratch delay, drop that down, click input sound. But even that's not enough. We also have to select in the monitor section of the scratch delay track. So now when I play the vocal, play the clip, it's going to be registering in both tracks, but it's not going to be a duplication of the sound. Watch, you can see what I'm talking about. Registering in both, but it's not a duplication. We'd be able to tell if it was. But both controls here control the sound. I can turn both on and off, control the sound. I can fade both faders in and out. They both control the sound. So now what we can do is we can use the time area of the delay to affect the input sound. Play it again. But that's pretty limiting just to have the time there. And I know that didn't sound like the best scratching. We'll get there. So what we're going to want to do is introduce automation into this. And to do that, we're going to use dummy clips in the scratch delay track. So let's arm that. And I'm going to record just a little bit of the input vocal on a clip. But what I record is really not going to matter at all. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Hit this. Okay, I'm just gonna stop it because it really doesn't matter. So now when I play it, it looks like we're hearing this, but we're not. See? Let's bring that point home. We'll bring that down. Yeah, we're really still hearing the input vocal from here, and the audio in this clip doesn't matter. We could have recorded silence. It's a dummy clip, like I said. We are not interested in its content. We're just interested in its automation. So let's select the envelopes tab in our dummy clip, and we're going to find the parameter that we want to automate, which in this case is the time of the delay. So find delay, and L time is exactly what we want. L or R time would be fine because they're linked. Another way to do this, let me hit Shift Tab, is you can click on any parameter that you want, say the dry wet for example, and it's going to pop up right here. Click feedback, pops up. Click L time again, pops up. All right, so let's draw something. See, it's at the 1 millisecond mark where we put it, but let's screw around with that. And a lot of this is screwing around and experimentation. So some of what you hear in this video may sound awkward and weird, but we'll find some cool sounds at the end. So let's hit play. All right, so you can see that the automation we drew here is affecting the input sound. And the length of this dummy clip matters. So if we were to shorten it, for example, something like that. Okay, so that's pretty cool. What we're going to do now, though, to make it more interesting, is we're going to duplicate this dummy clip and get a lot of them going and have automation that's different on each one, and we're going to jump in between them. So with our clip selected, I'm going to hit Command D several times. Let's get 5 over there. Control D if you're on a Mac. And let's click on the second one, and let's, mess around with its automation. So I'll probably fast forward through this part, go through them all, mess around with the automation a little bit, and the length of the clips. All right, so I have different automation on each one and different lengths. So let's hold Shift and highlight them all, and we're gonna activate our follow action area. And if you don't see this displayed, just click on this arrow here. So we're gonna do any, which is already there from this drop-down menu. We're gonna click on any, which means once a clip is done, it can jump to any other one randomly. Our quantize also wants to be global here. So let's play this, see how it sounds, get the automation displayed, and I'll do my best to follow along wherever they jump.
Just hold on. I'm not ready yet.
So, do my best to follow along. So, that is, well, that's what we just did. And of course, like I said earlier in the video, this takes a lot of experimentation to get good sounds out of it. Not everything you just heard sounded great, but there were a couple cool things in there. But let's move on to the Autopan part to make the sound even cooler. So let's right click, get a new audio track in there. I'll rename this Scratch Autopan. And let's route the scratch delay to the Scratch Autopan in the same manner. So audio to and scratch delay. Select Scratch Autopan, and the audio from in Autopan. We'll hit delay, and then we'll select in the monitor section there. So let's find our Autopan in the effects here, dragging in, delete the EQ and the compressor that pops up. And what we're going to want to do is we're going to increase the amount all the way up, the phase all the way up, and the shape all the way up. The rate, we're going to change from hertz to sync, and this is the parameter that we're going to be automating. So we're going to use the same strategy. Let's get a dummy clip into the Autopan. So I will arm the Autopan track and just record just a little bit. Really doesn't matter how much or how little. Okay. So once again, that sound doesn't matter. We want this dummy clip for its automation, not for its content. So just to remember that that audio doesn't matter, we'll turn it down. And yeah, once again, let's click on the envelopes, hit Shift Tab, go back to the rate, click on that because that's the parameter that we want to automate, and boom, there it is. Now, currently it's at 1/16. I'm going to put this to 1/8. When doing this, I like the range of 1/8 to 1/64. So let's hit Command D, get 5 different clips. Let's click on the second one and go from 1/8 sync rate to 1/16. The next one, 1/24. And once again, you can play around with these as well. This is all just experimentation. The fourth one will be 1/32, and the final one will be 1/64. I'm going to lower this a little bit. I've been having a little trouble with the audio here, so I'm actually going to throw a limiter on here just to help me out. That's not required to do this. That's just for YouTube purposes. So we have them all on different sync rates. And now let's highlight them and get our follow action going. Do any, and we'll do global for the quantize. Yeah, so let's see how that sounds now. Some pretty cool sounds coming out of that. And it's going to be different every time because once again, we have our input clip going into random automation, which is then going into random Autopan sync rates. So you're going to get a lot of crazy stuff. Some that sounds really cool and some that sounds meh. But you got to wade through that. Let's listen a little more. So what I think is going on here is that the length of these dummy clips does matter the same way they mattered for the scratch delay, and I think they're all too long. They're all too long. So the 1/8 I made really short. 1/16 I'll do that. 1/24 I'll go there. 1/32 I'll make really short. And the 1/64 I'll make really short. I think this will get us better results. But once again, it's all preference. Nice. That sounds pretty good. Now, if you want some width to the sound, you can go back to the Autopan, drop the phase a little bit, see how that sounds. Ooh, that one sounded cool. But yeah, that's how to get some width there. So the opportunities are endless because you can draw whatever shapes you want in the scratch delay automation, have however many clips at whatever lengths. Same with the Autopan, however many clips at whatever lengths, at whatever sync rates. So you're never going to hear the same thing twice. So let's output some sound and we can put them in stone and wade through what we want to keep versus what we don't want to keep. So I'll insert another audio track. I'll rename this output sound. And once again, we're going to want to route the Autopan to the output sound. So audio to, output sound there, audio from, scratch Autopan there. Bring this down. Let's not forget the monitor. That's important. I'm going to throw another limiter on here because I'm getting really frustrated with some of this audio coming out, distorted on the other side. So once again, that is not required if you're just in Ableton. Only required if you're a stupid YouTube content creator. So let's arm the track, and let's just record just a little bit of the input sound going into the delay, going into the Autopan, and we're going to have just a bunch of randomness in a clip, which we'll be able to wade through. I'll turn on the drums too, so it can, sound more interesting. Cool. All right. So now we have this big old clip with a bunch of randomness going on, and we could go through that and pick out what we want. So finally, let's throw on some effects to make the sound even more like an actual record being scratched. So let's try some overdrive. Let's drop that down, mids distort, and we have a vinyl distortion section, which is just perfect. So get the vinyl on there. I'm going to turn down the dry wet of the mids distort to start. And so we want to go off in on the monitor section now because we actually do want to hear this clip being played. So we're going to hit auto and make sure everything else is stopped. And yeah, let's play it. What's up? All right, sounds pretty good. So that's how I get semi-realistic scratching sounds over any sound I want in Ableton. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. My name is More Precious Dust. Please tickle and like that subscribe button down below, and I will see you next time.